say it takes many lifetimes to be born in this human realm.
I'm here to make sure that you're all treated well.
I've gone against some Buddhist principles. That Tibet and Dalai Lama will prevail.
Shenpenn, thank you for coming on the podcast, brother.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Our mutual friend Brandon Cox told me about your story, and I was like, "That's a really cool story." And I was like, "You know what, man? I got to talk to this guy." It dawned on me after the fact.
Thank you, man. I'm known as the crazy Tibetan.
Listen, it's wonderful. Tell me about you and who you are. As you know, the podcast is about resilience, adaptation, and inspiration. Your story as a filmmaker and also as the theme of your movie is very much in that world. But please tell me your journey.
Thank you, Stephen. Firstly, I'm humbled and grateful to be here. We're like 12 hours time difference right now. But this is amazing, and I've had an incredible journey. I was born as a Tibetan refugee in the Himalayas, across the border from Tibet. My family, my parents and grandparents, escaped Tibet after the Chinese invasion, the illegal Chinese invasion. Even though I was living in the Himalayas, I was very far from the Western civilization and the Western culture, but because of the British influence in India and the Himalayas, because of the British invasion and all that. I grew up with a lot of Western rock music, and Western cinema. I was always the misfit in my community, in my family, but I found refuge in music and art and poetry and especially cinema. So that's how my journey began. And then when I was 19, I moved to the U.S. as a political asylee. I came to the United States as a Tibetan refugee. And interestingly enough, my political asylum in the U.S. got rejected.
Wow.
And my port of entry was Los Angeles. And talk about calling, I always had this fantasy living in the Himalayas as a small kid. And this is like before, internet, before social media. But I remember watching Hollywood movies and, in a theater and VCR. Yeah. Remember those VHS and VCR days?
Oh, yeah.
So I'd only seen America and seen Hollywood through videos and movies. So I finally got a chance to go to the US and I had to apply for political asylum. And my port of entry was Los Angeles, LAX. And here I am, like this 19-year-old kid. I've never seen the world. Boom, like I'm in fucking LA. And then, I was in transition because I was flying to Chicago because my uncle was living in Chicago. So he was my only point of contact. So I was going there. But I had like 3 hours of layover in LAX. And then I was just like completely overwhelmed. I'm like, flabbergasted. I'm like, fucking, where the hell am I? Yeah. And then I see a crowd, bro. Like I see a crowd. And I'm like, I go close and I'm like, what is this? And I kid you not, within an hour of me stepping foot in the United States, I saw Robert Redford. Dude, and I had...
At LAX.
Yes. And I had recently watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Like at that time.
Yeah.
So I was like, funny. You know what? I don't know. I mean, it could be whatever story for people, but for me, it was like, imagine a kid from the Himalayas, from fucking mountains.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Right? You go to the US, it's like the furthest, from reality. Yeah. And then you're in LAX, you're already in disbelief. Like, right. And then I saw Robert Redford and I couldn't believe my eyes. And people would like crowd. And I just couldn't believe my eyes. I didn't have the confidence to go up to him or say anything. So that was the beginning of my journey. My political asylum in the US got rejected. And then I had nowhere else to go and I didn't want to be deported. So I went to Canada and I reapplied for my political asylum. And fortunately, I got my asylum accepted in Canada. And I started my life in Canada, in Toronto, as a Tibetan refugee. And then I eventually became a Canadian citizen. So my story is, it's been like, it's taken forever, bro. And then full circle, after I became a Canadian citizen, I go back to the US and I go back to LA to pursue filmmaking. And, I want to be an actor. But, at the time, we're talking about like 25 years ago, bro. You know, uh, there's almost nothing written for my face. Like nobody wrote for my looks. And I didn't want to do any like the stereotypical like hoo-ha, like, like kung
Yeah,
fu
yeah,
and
yeah.
martial arts shit. So yeah,
Wow.
and then to make ends meet, I had to work. I worked in a bank. I was relatively smart, so I did okay in my life. And I worked in a bank, and I worked as a waiter at Planet Hollywood. Remember Planet Hollywood?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
In Los
yeah.
Angeles.
No, in New York.
In New York. Okay. I know.
They
I've
had
been
it
there.
everywhere. Yeah. So eventually I couldn't get any work. As an actor, I wanted to learn filmmaking and I wanted to go to NYU Film School, but I couldn't afford at that time because I didn't have parents that could send me to school. I didn't have
Sure.
grants. I didn't have papers like where I could get like student loans. So I used to sit outside NYU, bro. Like no kidding. I used to sit outside NYU building. I used to work at a restaurant, wait tables. On my day offs, I used to sit outside NYU building and I used to watch all the kids go in and out, the students, and I used to talk to them. And I don't know what it is. I always had this kind of crazy, many a times it seemed delusional, but I had this immense self-belief that this is what I want to do. 2008, right before the economic meltdown, I quit my job as a banker and I said, you know what? Screw it. This is what I'm going to do. Like super romantic about life. Like I'm going to eat a slice of pizza a day, but I'm not going to sell my soul to the machine. I'm going to fucking do what I love. And that's how my filmmaking journey began. And it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of time. But then since 2008, I haven't looked back. But it
Wow.
hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. So, I did small short films. I did documentary. I did, small time kind of feature films, indie stuff. And then this was an important story. The film is called Four Rivers, Six Ranges. Four Rivers and Six Ranges, so six mountains. The Untold Story of Tibet. So everybody knows about the Dalai Lama. Everybody knows about His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Everybody knows about Buddhism. His Holiness is, a Nobel Peace Laureate. He's one of the most precious, most beautiful, most amazing, wise human being to ever walk this earth. Thank you. And nobody knew the story of how he escaped from Tibet when he was 23, 24 years old. So when the Chinese invaded Tibet, there was a huge threat to His Holiness's life. And he was the beacon of Tibet. He was the symbol of Tibet. So his protection was like paramount. So there were Tibetan warriors, there were Tibetan people from this region, Eastern Tibet region called Kham and Amdo. And they're basically from four rivers and six ranges, that region. And so they formed this resistance group to defend and to fight the Chinese, the People's Liberation Army on horseback. And so they are the ones who escorted the Dalai Lama from Lhasa, Tibet in 1958, 59. In 58, the resistance group formed. And in 59, they escorted the Dalai Lama to the border of India.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
they safely kind of transitioned him into India. And then they returned back to fight the Chinese. And then
Wow.
Dwight B. Eisenhower was the one who supported the Tibetan, resistance movement. And there was a CIA code called the Shadow Circus. The Shadow Circus was the secret code name for the Tibetan resistance group, and they were trained in Camp Hale in Colorado. So CIA
Ah,
was
wow.
involved, dude. Like it's fucking crazy. So CIA was involved. And so after Eisenhower, um, Nixon became the president. And then Nixon was kind of sucking up to the Chinese, and he made some deals, and he was going to Beijing that time. And then he pulled the plug on the operation. And then the Tibetan warriors were fucking left stranded. And that was kind of the
Wow.
beginning of the demise of the warrior group. But it is because of them that you know the Dalai Lama could escape, and the world gained the Dalai Lama. So nobody had told his story. Scorsese, like he's my guru, like Scorsese is my master. You know what I mean? He made the movie Kundun about the Dalai Lama 25 years ago. Jacques, from France, he made 7 Years in Tibet with Brad Pitt. But they only showed His Holiness's life, but they didn't show the Four Rivers, Six Ranges warrior story. So 13 years ago, I knew that somebody should make a film on these guys. I didn't know it was going to be me. I just knew that somebody should. And I started reading up on it. I started reading every single book, every single dissertation, I researched, I read every scholar's books. I checked out every interview, all the old warriors that were left. I interviewed them. So I did a lot of research for 12, 13 years,
Wow.
at least 10 years. And then, COVID time, like fast forward COVID time, I was kind of technically and professionally, I was ready to make this film. But you're never ready till you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I met Brandon. Him and I, we hit it off. And as I was
Brandon
like, dude,
Cox.
yeah, Brandon B. Cox, Mr. Cox. Yeah. So we became good friends, and then I was in LA, and then we met up, we had dinner, and I told him about the story. I'm just a small time fucking indie filmmaker, but I told him, I don't know where that voice came from. I told him, this is going to be the best work of your career.
Awesome.
And I told him, this is good. I'm not kidding, because it's not because of Shenpenn. It's because of the story. It's because of that fucking, the story is colossal, man. It's like fucking huge.
Yeah.
And the landscape, I'm sure you've seen the trailer by now, right?
I've seen the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a super indie film. We didn't have money. I didn't compromise on the technical stuff like the cameras and the lenses and whatever. But it was all first time actors. Like everybody thought I was nuts. Every single person in the world that knew me said, how the hell are you going to pull this off? It's such an impossible story. It's a period film. You're shooting at 15,000 plus feet high in the Himalayas with
Was it
first time
cold?
actors.
Was it cold?
Yeah. Super cold, bro. And we didn't have enough money. So I was knocking like 10 to 15 pages a day. But we shot the film in record time, 19 days.
Oh
And it's a
wow.
2 hours, 11 minutes
Oh
feature
wow.
film.
That's
And
amazing. That's
so,
all you. That's all you, man.
yeah, it was passion driven, and it was the I think, spiritually and philosophically speaking, I think intent plays a very big role in one's life. You know how we talk about the law of attraction, the law of
Hmm.
intention.
Hmm.
My intention has never been like, since I was a kid, I've never wanted to be a rock star or a filmmaker because I wanted fame. I don't give a fuck, bro. I couldn't care less. I just do it because I cannot breathe without doing it. I do it because I absolutely love it. I work 18 hours a day, and I'm fucking ready to go the next day. Like I'm like, let's go. And I'm not like that with anything else in my life. I
Yeah.
love literature, I love art, I love poetry, I love history, I love anthropology. I like to educate myself. And then I'm self-taught. Like I couldn't go to NYU, so I learned everything about filmmaking, like writing, directing, producing, cinematography, editing, and then I'm a music composer. I'm not famous or anything. I'm just a very small time indie filmmaker. But I did so much on this film, Stephen. I wrote, produced, directed, composed the entire music. I was the action director. I was the horse wrangler. I taught all my actors how to ride horses. I did all the action, uh, PR, publicity. And everybody thinks, in my community, people say, oh, he's so multi-talented. I'm not. I'm just fucking desperate. There's a sense of urgency.
Yeah,
If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't want to wait for another Martin Scorsese to come and tell our story, you know? So that's how this
That's
madness. You know how they say you need to have a little bit of madness. I'm a fucking madman.
that's wonderful that you did this. So where is the film? I know it was in a good festival. What's the story with that as far as the release and the festival run that you're doing?
Yeah. So um, we had applied. It was again, you know how it is. Prep, it's crazy. Pre-production, production is nuts, and then post-production is crazy, especially when you have such a tight budget. And then publicity and distribution and getting it out there, exhibition is tough. And so we had applied for many festivals, and I know when a film is decent enough to get into a film festival. And I'm not biased. My film is decent enough to get into a festival. It's a powerful story. And in terms of cinema and the art of cinema and the art of filmmaking, this is a notebook. This is like it's a great case study.
Hmm.
But my film didn't get into many festivals because of the Chinese pressure. Just nobody wants to piss off the Chinese. Nobody wants to upset the Chinese. I didn't realize that there was Chinese money in these big festivals. I was naive. I was like, okay, let me apply to, this and this. I don't want to name names, but
Even in the
everybody wrote
United,
me,
even in the United States, or
yes,
mm,
yes, some festival because I found out later that a lot of the title sponsors, a lot of the, sponsorship was Chinese in Europe. So luckily, the International Film Festival of Rotterdam, which is like one of the biggest indie film festival in the world, they accepted it. And then, so February 1st, it was the world premiere, and, and we got selected. It was a huge deal for me. So,
mhm,
we come from ground up. Like we're not, established filmmakers. I'm a struggling filmmaker, but
mhm,
but the film got accepted, and then within an hour, less than an hour, the tickets went online. All the tickets sold out, bro. My film. And then we went to the festival. It was amazing. It was like we had great reception. Uh, the public was super supportive, and everybody loved the film. There was a lot of emotions in the theater. And then the Chinese government got nervous. Like, I'm a fucking nobody, Stephen. I'm just a small time artist, and I made the Chinese government nervous. They shit in their pants, and they were pressuring the festival, and they released their propaganda video against my film.
mhm,
So that says something.
mhm. Yeah.
So so that's how the journey's been so far. Now and then it also, later on, I got an email from the Asian World Film Festival in LA. And it's the biggest Asian film festival. Like, all the Asian films like Korea, Japan, Taiwan, all of them. They come to Asian Film Festival, Asian World Film Festival in LA. So they invited my film. So it's one of those battles. It's like a David and Goliath story. I'm kind of
Yeah.
chugging along. So
What is
so
the
that's
what
where
is
that's where we're at.
so what is the Dalai Lama? Has he seen this movie? Does he know about it?
Um, His Holiness, he doesn't. He's old now, right? He's 90 years old, so he doesn't really watch movies. And he's a very busy man, even at this age. But I did go right after I finished the shoot. He was the first. He was the first being that I went and showed the film to,
Wow.
and I showed him his clips, like like especially the border scene, the escape
Yeah.
when he reaches
Yeah.
the border, because it's a very emotional scene, and we designed that that scene with a lot of love and care. Brandon, myself, and then he watched it, and there are pictures of
Yeah,
me
yeah, I
showing
saw
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So and then it's been exciting because we have Tibetan indie filmmakers, but this has been the most unapologetic, audacious Tibetan film ever made by a Tibetan, acted by Tibetans in exile.
interesting.
And so this is, in some way or the other, this has lifted the spirit of my people. And
That's
that's what
awesome.
I wanted. Yeah.
That's really great. So you put
Yeah.
how many years into this? 10, 12, 13?
10 years research, 2.5 years making it.
And then
So
2 year
13,
plus another 2 years in distribution, 15 years.
give or take, 14, 15. Yeah. I'm
It
still here, bro.
it's a journey, man. I understand everything you're talking about. I admire the story that you're telling. It's a good
Thank you.
story, and I haven't even seen the movie, but I know it's a good story.
Thank you. I
Um,
will invite you in LA. I'll make sure you get to watch the film.
I would
And
love
before
that.
before before you, before you ask me questions, I want to tell you, I watched, dude, I didn't know Brandon, I didn't know Steven, but I watched Heist a long time ago when it
Yeah,
first came out. 'Cause, who's not a De Niro fan, you know?
right,
Like
right.
I've watched Robert, and in my community, I was one of the very few and one of the first ones to watch Mean Streets and Raging Bull and Taxi Driver and
Yeah, oh yeah.
Godfather and all that. So when I watched, I was like, wow, man. I mean, I'm a young guy at that time, and I'm, who would know, man? I'd be talking to, the writer and the cinematographer is working with me. For me, it's a big deal, bro. I
Oh,
come from the
absolutely.
ground up.
It's a pleasure. We all come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I think it's great. That's the power of film. Film will put you out there in every nook and cranny in the world, and people who don't know you will see it, like it, or judge it however they want to judge it.
Mhm.
There's many ways to go about it. What was the biggest challenge for you to make this movie besides the political aspect of it?
The biggest challenge was the budget, like everyone else's. Um,
Right.
I didn't have to like in 20. Okay, let me put it in perspective. Scorsese made Kundun, the story of the Dalai Lama, 25, almost 30 years ago for $30 million.
Yeah.
7 years in Tibet was
Don't give me your budget online, but yes, go
no,
ahead.
no, I'm not going to give you. So 7 years in Tibet was made for $70 million, almost 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I didn't have jack shit.
I'm sure.
And I made the film in 2024, 23, 25. So that was a big challenge. The other challenge was I filmed it at the border of Tibet and Nepal in the Himalayas. So Tibet, as in the Chinese occupied Tibet now. So it's all Chinese military, the police and the Chinese force. And Nepal, as much as I love the country, but Nepal is kind of, at the mercy of China. So this film would never been allowed to shoot there. Anything to do with Tibet, anything to do with Free Tibet, anything to do with the Dalai Lama, absolutely no. So I had to make a fucking pseudo script because you need to get permission from the ministry, Nepal government. You have to get all kinds of permits. So I wrote a fake script called the Himalayan Robin Hood. Yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, the story of making this film has been
Ah,
like
that's a
you asked me to do
story.
it.
That's a story within a story.
Absolutely. And there's a documentary coming out. We have a doc coming out. It's called The Himalayan Robin Hood, the making of Four Rivers, Six Ranges.
It's awesome.
So so because if I had given them the script, Four Rivers, Six Ranges, that's it. It would be shut down. So I had to give them a Himalayan Robin Hood, and then getting the crew from Bollywood and Brandon from Hollywood, and then all my actors are from US, Canada, fucking India, like everywhere. Like imagine the logistics.
Wow.
and I don't have a proper production team.
Right.
It's like it's super indie. So my 80s, like everybody, like, they've never done, this was the biggest film everybody did,
Wow.
probably except Brandon. Brandon's worked in some bigger films, So yeah, it was just me going nuts and saying, this is it. Like, I was the captain of the ship and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna let this sink, you know?
Yeah. How did you
So,
feel when you shot your last day and you wrapped? What was the flow of emotion for you?
oh, by then I was beat because I was working, it's a standard 12 hours shift, right? We do 12-hour shift, day and night. But I was clocking in 18 hours a day every day because I was shooting. And I'm not one of those luxurious directors who gets to go on the set at the end, and all the ADs and production team and art, and everybody's ready waiting. I'm usually the first one who goes there. I'm involved in every single department, like super detailed. uh so and then once we pack up for the day, everybody goes back and rests, whatever. I go back and do my dailies. I sit with because I had my editor on site, so we were editing daily, and then I would sit 2-3 hours with my editor, and I had, like, fortunately I had absolute clarity as to what I wanted.
I mean, that's great. Yeah.
So so I'd be busy like that. But my last days, I was super exhausted. I wish I had an extra, like, 3 days, extra 2 days. Because like, I mean, everybody appreciates the film today, but when I watch it, I mean, as a creative person, as a writer, I'm sure you can relate. Like, when I watch the film, I cringe
Hmm.
because I know what I was capable of. I know what I could have done had I gotten the right kind of support. So I didn't have that extra 3 days. So, there was a lot of things I had to compromise, especially
Right.
the final battle scene. We didn't have a fucking stunt team. We didn't have an action team. I was the action director myself. I'm doing the horse wrangling myself. So there was so many things I wish, but I was still kind of, I'm not sure if I was happy. Uh, but it was a wrap, and everybody was exhausted by then, because the terrain is tough. You're looking at the Himalayas, 15,000 plus. There's no, and my actors were not allowed to shower, so they hadn't showered for over a month. From the workshop, from prep to shoot, because I wanted that authentic kind of, and I didn't shower myself. I stayed in the same place where my actors stayed. I didn't have a more comfortable. I like there was no, I wanted it to be like that. Um, so I don't know. I just knew that I could have done more. You know.
What was your safety net?
Oh man, my safety net. That's a good question. I think Brandon and I think the camera team and the direction team, we were the only two, like, tight, like we were on point, like, super tight departments. You know, Everybody else was for the first time. Like, even art, my production design team. They were all interns in my production company 5 years ago, and I kind of trained them. My art director came in as an intern, so I kind of moved them up. So every other team and my production team was lost, like, so it was Brandon and I just think, the clarity I had, and the I don't want to sound pompous, but the confidence I had in myself, and then Brandon. I think the two of us, like, it's very rare. Him and I, we never had one single disagreement or argument. It was like, let's go, bro. Like, he knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what he was doing. Like, I'd be like, okay, bro, like, you're putting 40 there, you're putting 80 on this, like, two cans. Like, it was so transparent, and we'd never worked before, you know? I
Where
mean, but
did you rent the equipment or did you buy the equipment?
no, we rented the equipment from Bollywood.
Uh,
So, so we, dude, we got 700 kilos. I don't know how much that is in pounds. 700 kilos of camera equipment from sea level to 15,000 feet, through
With what?
customs.
With donkeys, or how did you do it?
No, no, no. We got them first on the train from Bollywood, Mumbai to the border of Nepal, and then from border of Nepal in like jeeps and trucks. And then it had to go through fucking customs. It was a rigmarole. It was like a nightmare. And then, you had to pay people off. I mean, this part of the world is like that. Uh, but great. Like I could have not learned all this shit in film school.
Oh, that's amazing. It's
You know,
absolutely amazing. There's the one thing that the people that stand out in what I've seen are the people that are just blindly passionate about their work. Right or wrong, it seems like you really took your time to do your homework so you don't make too many mistakes. Everybody makes
yeah,
mistakes, but I think that's where the confidence comes from, where you have such a
yeah.
perspective on things.
I think it was the 10, 12 years that I'd spent alone writing, rewriting, writing, rewriting, and kind of envisioning. Like, and I'm very visual. Like, and I'm also a professional musician, so I've been playing music for 30 years. So I'm by default I'm very rhythmic. So even when I write, I can't help but write with my edit in mind. Like when I shoot, I'm also editing.
Right.
And then I'm also thinking of the music. Like my next film, I've already written and we're prepping. Like the entire film is already playing in my head from the opening scene to the end title, the
Amazing.
end credit.
Where are you shooting that one?
In the Himalayas again,
Oh,
Ladakh.
wow.
It's in the Indian side of Himalayas, so there's no political issues and problems for me. But it's the first Himalayan Tibetan vampire movie ever made.
Oh, that's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
funny you talk about the confidence. I can relate to this because the first scene in Bus 657 Heist,
Mm.
I was in the scene with Batista and Jeffrey D. Morgan, and it was one of those situations where the script was constantly changing, the director was changing stuff, but I was pretty locked and loaded, and I prepped that movie for 7 years to get to that point on that scene,
Wow.
and nobody knew who I was. They just knew I was the writer. So when I did the
And you were
scene,
the actor. And you were
I
also an
was
actor.
yeah, I was co-starring in it. So when I did the scene, it was funny because Jeffrey Dean's character, his lines kept changing, and he was kind of not really happy about it, but he was doing it. So we were standing there with Batista and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Jeffrey Dean is like, "Oh man, I'm so fucking nervous." Like, yeah, man, I'm nervous. I'm like, I'm not nervous. I've been waiting for this for 7 years.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You knew exactly what time it was. Like
So
Flavor
they're
Flav
just,
says.
yeah, like exactly. So I understand when you tell me, hey, I've been doing this for so long, and there's this tunnel vision that goes into it, and how you bring it together. It's fantastic. What's happening with your distribution right now?
So we're talking to some people. The film is in English, so we shot the film in English. So we're hoping that Netflix will eventually pick it up. I'll be in the U.S. next month as of April. So 2 months, April, May, I'll be in the U.S. and we're premiering there, and then we're also doing some screenings in New York, and Toronto, and other places. So I'll be in L.A. and uh, we're hoping that Netflix will be interested. And uh, politically, as far as I know, Netflix is not available in China. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll be okay with it. So, so yeah, and the problem is, see, I think, us creative people, no matter how smart or creative we think we are, we're not good with business, bro. Like I'm not a businessman. Like I don't know how to do business. I'm a creative guy. I could work 24 hours a day, creating. But when it comes to these dotted lines and fucking, contracts and, so I'm not
Well,
good.
my suggestion to you is make sure you get the right person to represent you on that.
Yes. So we're talking to some people. I haven't locked anybody yet. Because I'm being more careful because I have learned my lessons the hard way. So once I come to the US, I'm meeting some people. We're hoping to get the right distribution. I mean, See, the film is, it's a small film and there's no movie stars. And then we live in a very interesting time right now. People with more followers on Instagram becomes, actors. So it's a very weird time we're living in. So I'm hoping that eventually, yeah, we get the right people and then the story is powerful. And this is almost like, I cannot, I mean, like I could never compare myself to Scorsese, but he's definitely my greatest inspiration, you know.
So,
And
so
and sorry, so this film, Four Rivers, Six Ranges, is almost like a follow-up, of the Scorsese movie Kundun.
why don't you send the film to Scorsese and Tribeca?
Yeah, so we're trying. We've applied for Tribeca. We haven't heard back. And once I get to the US, I'm trying to figure out how to get to Scorsese because I feel like if he gets to see the film and if he gets to know the
What you've done is an amazing story. It's an amazing tale. It's driven by passion. It's pretty fucking nuts to take all this equipment up into the mountains somewhere and shoot. So many things could have gone wrong. So many things
everything
could
could
have
have gone wrong.
so many things could have stopped this thing. You had no insurance on this. No film company was going to back you as I guess a feature film first time filmmaker.
Second time, second feature. But
Second
previous was a
feature.
smaller one, yeah.
Smaller film, not the biggest track record in place. So I think
Mm.
there's this is a very high risk situation, and the way you pulled it off is admirable. And the story
Thank you.
is really important, and I think it needs to be told just for what you did because you are documenting something that could be quite interesting, and I think you should take your
Mm.
time with
Right.
distribution. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing. But I think it's so wonderful and passionate that it's look, the podcast theme, it's inspirational, resilience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're showing all that into this, and
Yeah.
you adapted in the mountains. You did what you did, and that to me, you can't teach that in film school, man.
No. Yeah. I don't know how I like you asked me to do it again. I don't think I can.
No, because now you know. Now you
Now I
know.
know. I know exactly what went on. So I'm like, dude, I dread. Like even when I think about it, I'm like, how the fuck did I pull this off? Like, how did I do it? You know,
Yeah,
everybody was getting sick, altitude sickness.
yeah,
Brandon was sick. We had
yeah.
to give him IV. He was sick.
Oh my God,
Dude,
man.
like Brandon, I have video. We haven't posted these, not yet, you know. But Brandon was an IV. My actors started like, they all had six packs and shit, but they all got sick. I was the only one that didn't get sick. Towards the end of the shoot, I had 103-degree, 104-degree fever, but nobody knew I had fever because I had to go shoot.
Wow. It
So this
is
is how the film was made.
what a story. I love the story. I think
I'm just happy to talk to you, bro. Like I look forward to meeting you in person, and I'm still a work in progress. I'm writing, but you've written stuff that's fucking like it's a big deal. Like
thank you, man.
Robert De Niro, man, like shit.
Thank
So
you,
I'm
thank
sure
you.
there's a lot I can learn from you, and
And
then
vice
Brandon.
versa.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of you, but Brandon's shooting my next film too.
There you go.
Um, so, I'm quite determined. You know, uh, Whatever it might come off as, uh, because in the Tibetan world, we've never had anybody like me,
I love it.
and
I
and
love it.
it's about time. It's about time,
Fuck yeah, it's
and
about time.
I'm determined to make a dent.
And you should make a dent, and I'm going to help you make that dent. It's funny.
Yeah.
This podcast is called The Immigrant Storyteller. I wrote a film, and I say this because it relates. Um, I wrote a film about my personal story, my personal life, called The Storyteller, and now it's The Immigrant
Mhm.
Storyteller. And I got Dustin Hoffman, Sam Worthington, Madeline Stowe, 3 million plus budget for a production company, and the production company failed to bring the money in. I lost my cast. It was a very, very hurtful feeling that happened, and the cast was ready to go, and it fell apart because they couldn't do what they said they were going to do. and I was determined to continue pushing this theme of storytelling. I'm building this brand of this podcast, and I'm still making movies, but you just have to be relentless on your approach.
Tenacious.
Relentless. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't
absolutely.
you can't you can't wait for anybody. There's
No.
people making a lot of money in this business. It's
Yeah,
almost a monopoly. It's not almost. It is a monopoly when you're in a
it is.
certain level. I've been told by folks, yeah, I know, I get it. Like I love your story, but my goal is to take that story and make you go away. That's their goal because they make the
Wow,
process. I mean, it was kindly speaking. It wasn't like yelling at me or anything, but it was like that's I don't want the next guy to do this to you. I want to be the guy who does that to you. I want your product
that's
so I can
brutal,
make,
bro.
and that's the reality. But
It
that's
is.
the
And
game. So,
record labels, production, it's like studios. I mean, I know because I've been a long time musician. Like I was playing rock music in Toronto and New York. Just when Sum 41, the band Sum 41,
mhm, mhm.
they got signed, and so we were gigging around the same time, and I remember as a band, I was a heavy metal guitarist, and we were talking to Universal and EMI, and and that this is exactly how it was.
Yeah.
But like you said, relentless. Like I have known one thing in my life because I come from such hardship. I was born as a refugee. I was born in a cowshed, bro. I didn't have electricity in my house till I was 5 years old. Like, I'm not kidding. You know?
Based on what you're doing, you've upgraded with that background.
Yeah. so so it's been an incredible journey. And fortunately, my personality and my this psychological environment that I create for myself in my head is absolutely positive. Like, quitting is absolutely not an option for me.
I love it.
I have fallen 100 times, bro, but I will get up 101 time.
I
That's
love
it.
it. And it's about the alliances. Like Brandon, I've done two films with Brandon. One mine, one another one with Bruce Willis, and then I got
Mhm.
another one executive produced, actually three, two on the set, three not on the set. And
Mhm.
but there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of you got to be careful. You're an alley cat in an alley. That's producing.
Mhm.
Okay. This is not, it's not a gentleman's game. It isn't,
No, it
unfortunately.
isn't. It's cutthroat.
Uh, it's very cutthroat. It's as simple as you work your ass off to get your movie made, or even if you try to do pre-sales. Right now, that pre-sale model is pretty much gone,
Yeah.
and you try to get this. You do all the work, and at the end of the day, it's a simple, "Oh, thanks, not it's not for us." Okay, like 7 years, 6 years, 13 years of your life, it's not for us. That's a very soft velvet no, but it's a
Mm.
brutal one to hear. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It is. And I've been experiencing this, you know, f- most of my life. Most of my life. So I'm kind of, I'm so kind of conditioned, and from a Buddhist perspective also, like I give a lot of talks to young people, and I give a lot of lectures at universities to youth, and I'm regarded as a role model in my community. So whenever I talk to people, I tell them, look forward to failing, look forward to falling.
Yeah, yeah,
Which, when you have that attitude, nothing under the sky can stop you after that.
yeah. It is very true. It is very true.
Yeah.
I love what you just said.
This has been a
Li-
pleasure, man.
Listen, Shenpenn, I have to say, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'm so motivated, inspired by
Thank you.
your journey. There's a lot of people who need to see you and this film, and I was really looking forward to having you on the show. So thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. And thanks to our common friend, Brandon. This is amazing. This is amazing. And I look forward to meeting you in person.
Take care of yourself, bro.
Take care, brother. Take care.